It was too bad. Hamas didn't really want to make a deal. I think they want to die, and it's very, very bad.
Are you done with
and
it?
it got to be to a point where you're going to have to finish the job. They really, they asked for things. Don't forget, we got a lot of hostages out. So now we're down to the final hostages, and they know what happens after you get the final hostages. And basically, because of that, they really didn't want to make a deal. I saw that. So they pulled out, and they're going to have to fight, and they're going to have to clean it up. You're going to have to get rid of it.
When you get it down to a certain number, you're not going to be able to make a deal with Hamas. Because once they give them up, then they feel that that's going to be the end of them. And what I said is exactly true. You know, they had a routine discussion the other day, and all of a sudden they hardened up. They don't want to give them back. And so Israel's going to have to make a decision. I know what I do, but I don't think it's appropriate that I say, but Israel's going to have to make a decision. I asked my people, I said, how are we doing with Cambodia and how are we doing with Thailand? And they say they're going to be coming in at some point to talk. I said, well, let's call them right now. So I called the prime ministers of each. And I said, we're not going to make a trade deal unless you settle the war. A lot of people are killed, you know that, in a short period of time. The border, they're fighting pretty like wild. And I spoke to both of the prime ministers, and I think by the time I got off, I think they want to settle now. I know they're meeting today or tomorrow. Well, you know, we gave $60 million 2 weeks ago, and nobody even acknowledged it, for food. And it's terrible. You know, you really at least want to have somebody say thank you. No other country gave anything. We gave $60 million 2 weeks ago for food for Gaza. And nobody acknowledged it. Nobody talks about it. And it makes you feel a little bad when you do that and, you know, you have other countries not giving anything. None of the European countries, by the way, gave. I mean, nobody gave but us. And nobody said, gee, thank you very much. And it would be nice to have at least a thank you. And I took a lot of heat. You know, when I do that, a lot of people aren't happy about that because they say, well, why are we doing it and nobody else? But I think we had a humanitarian reason for doing it. What's going to happen? I don't know. I can tell you that Hamas, as I said would happen, at the end, you know, we've gotten back a lot of hostages, a tremendous number of hostages, most of them. Now we have dead hostages, and the mothers want them back, and we have 20 people approximately, but that are living. But we have a lot of bodies, and the parents want those bodies as much as they would want their child if that child were alive. I met with parents that were, it was so sad. Sir, please get my son back. How is your son doing? Well, he's dead, but they have his body, and it's so important. It's more important. It's almost like more, but it's as important as if the child were living. These people were, I mean, they're devastated. And I said, when you get it down to a certain number, you're not going to be able to make a deal with Hamas. Because once they give them up, then they feel that that's going to be the end of them. And what I said is exactly true. You know, they had a routine discussion the other day, and all of a sudden they hardened up. They don't want to give them back. And so Israel's going to have to make a decision. I know what I do, but I don't think it's appropriate that I say, but Israel's going to have to make a decision. We finally have peace, and it's actually made the situation worse. But we'll see what happens. I think Iran is acting up. I think that we have a lot of people we have Venezuela acting up in a different way. They continue to send people that we rebuff to our border. They continue to send drugs into our country. Venezuela, they've been very nasty, and we can't let that happen. But we have other countries too. We do have, and this is just getting a little off subject, but we have now the safest border we've ever had. And I think in many respects we probably have the most successful, and I say it all the time, every leader, when I went to NATO the other day, every leader said, you have the hottest country in the world. We have the hottest country in the world now. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We have the highest stock market we've ever had. We have the best numbers we've ever had. but we have hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our country, and I think it's the hottest. And by the way, 1 year ago, our country was dead. We had a dead country because of an incompetent president and incompetent Democrats. All they know how to do is talk and think about conspiracy theories and nonsense. If they'd waste their time talking about America being great again, it would be so much nicer, so much easier, be very successful. But we were a dead country, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Yeah.
Also in Gaza, sir, did you speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu this weekend about getting more aid into Gaza?
I talked to him, yeah, I did. I talked to him about a lot of things. I talked to him about Iran. I think Iran's been very nasty with their words, with their mouth. I think they've been very nasty. They got the hell knocked out of them, and I don't think they know it. I actually don't think they know it. They really do. The whole thing's a con job. We have a lot of con jobs going on. But Iran was beaten up very badly, for good reason. We cannot have them have a nuclear weapon. But they still talk about enrichment. I mean, who would do that? You just come out of something that's so bad, and they talk about, we want to continue enrichment. Who would say that? How stupid can you be to say that? So we're not going to allow that to happen. We're not allowing that to happen.
Did you talk about more aid into Gaza?
Will I do more aid? Yeah. The U.S. is going to do more aid for Gaza, but we'd like to have other countries participate. We're going to mention that to the European Union today. That's an international problem. It's not a U.S. problem. It's an international problem. And we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food and a lot of everything. If we weren't there, I think people would have starved, frankly. They would have starved. And it's not like they're eating well. But a lot of that food is getting stolen by Hamas. They're stealing the food. They're stealing a lot of things. You ship it in and they steal it. Then they sell it.
Cambodia and Thailand. You spoke to leaders of both countries.
I did.
Are they doing enough to stop the fight?
I hope so. You're talking about Cambodia and Thailand? Yeah. So I had an interesting time. We're dealing with Thailand, and we do a lot of trade with Thailand and with Cambodia. And yet, I'm reading that they're killing each other. They're fighting. They're in a war. And I say, this should be an easy one for me because I've settled with India and Pakistan, and Serbia and Kosovo was going at it, but they have for a long time, in all fairness. You know about that. And others, the Congo, and what's gone on there. That's been a horrible thing with Rwanda. That's been a horrible thing. 31 years, 7 million, 8 million people killed. Machetes all over the place. It's a terrible thing. We got that one solved. We did 5 of them. And I was saying, we have a trade deal. We were working on another. We finalized another trade deal yesterday. And I asked my people, I said, how are we doing with Cambodia and how are we doing with Thailand? And they said they're going to be coming in at some point to talk. I said, well, let's call them right now. So I called the prime ministers of each. And I said, we're not going to make a trade deal unless you settle the war. A lot of people are killed, that in a short period of time. The border, they're fighting pretty like wild. And I spoke to both of the prime ministers, and I think by the time I got off, I think they want to settle now. I know they're meeting today or tomorrow, and we're going to work with them. Marco Rubio's working with them also, his people, and him. I think we're going to get that. That would be a great thing, but that would have turned out to be a bad one. And I will tell you, India and Pakistan, they were really getting ready to go at it. So getting those things settled, if I can do it, and if I can use trade to do that, it's my honor. But I had great talks with 2 very good people that they both really would like to make a deal. So we'll see what happens.